Well, hello, and welcome to Splitting the G with the Rehab Man. Today we have a guest, Ed Russell. Ed Russell is how do you are you a plan reviewer? Are you a HUD consultant? What do
203K
you
consultant.
203K consultant? Ed is a 203K consultant. Not only is Ed a 203K consultant, Ed is a legend in the Chicagoland area as a 203K consultant because he's done more than anyone. I used to talk to the other consultants. They were all angry at Ed because he got all the business. He got all the business because he's the best. Now, quickly, Ed, I know that when you go out and do a plan review or a consultant's report, that you use your own numbers. You write everything up. I know a lot of these guys wait for the contractor to send their numbers and then they just plug the numbers into the report. So if you're getting a consultant's report from Ed and you don't have a contractor, you still know what the numbers are. So is that different? Why do you do that differently?
It helps facilitate and move things along quicker. A lot of loan officers want to order the appraisal, get it to underwrite, and get the ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll show up and they have a already completed contractor's estimate if they're doing an addition or they're
Mm-hmm.
refinancing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In that situation, I would mirror the contractor's estimate if it's appropriate.
Okay. Okay. I always like the idea of when my clients would call you, you would offer a feasibility study. Now, I've had my clients go out with Ed and do their feasibility study, and they, one example, and I'm sorry if I'm taking over here, Ed, but I just want to give a great
It's
example.
your show.
We had a, and I'm sure you recall, went out there. It was probably about 2, 3 months ago. You went out, did a feasibility study. It was a young lady, and her contractor said it was a $30,000 job. I said, look, if it's on the bubble like that, get Ed out there and let him do his thing. So the contractor had a $30,000 bid of things that he was doing. You went out there and you found all the floor joists and everything were termite damaged and bug damaged, and you put the number at closer to 130. Do you remember that
I
one?
do.
That was so the reason that I always suggest that you have Ed. What are one of those costs? What do you charge for
200
that?
for the feasibility.
200 for that. And if they do a feasibility and then they follow through, do they get that 200 discounted from
Off the
their
plan review
plan review?
price.
Okay, good. So so what would have happened if Ed hadn't gone out there is we would have closed that loan with $30,000 in escrow because we go off the contractor bid if it's 30,000 or less. So we would have closed that loan with 30,000 in escrow, and they would have ran out of money about a quarter of the way through the project. It would have been a train wreck. It would have been a foreclosure. It would have been a mess with their credit. Everything for $200. For $200, they got peace of mind and they got steered away from a horrible deal. So I was so happy to see that.
A lot of times when I kill a deal and I tell people it's just not going to work, they're happy
Yeah,
because I explain to them why. I'm saying, I'm saving you a big headache a year from now, or
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's not that you're killing the deal. It's that you're killing the deal for a reason.
exactly.
Because it's a bad deal.
I'm not
And
going out there to kill the
it's
deal,
not gonna,
but
yeah, and
I
it's
want my
not gonna
clients to
work.
be happy.
Right. Well, you want them to be happy, and you don't want them to go broke.
Yep.
I mean that is a bankruptcy uh, and a foreclosure looking you right in the kisser when you make a mistake that big. When you make $100,000 mistake on a building, that's it. It's over. That building's never getting finished by you anyway.
Yeah, I did
So
a feasibility this morning, and I presented me with $110,000 contractor's estimate. 110,000 contractor's estimate. It's a 3-story building, completely gutted, and the garage is in disrepair. And I had to explain to the buyer that this can't be done for 110. It had no plumbing, no electrical, no insulation, no framing. And some guy
so
told me he
so
could do it for 110. There's just no way, especially when you need drawings and all that other stuff for Chicago.
so that's another thing. Now working in Chicago, now you have probably seen every type of renovation that can be done. Permits are a big deal. When does a general permit need a general construction permit versus all of the plumbing, electrical, roofing, all that stuff.
Well, Chicago just changed again a couple of months ago. They have a new type of permit system. It's a little bit more rigorous, or than it was, but basically, in-kind replacement will be able to use an easier, softer permit.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's so you're going to take a tub out and put a tub in. You're going to take a cabinet out, put a cabinet in. Hot water tank out. Things in the same place that they were.
Okay.
But now, if you're converting, a boiler to a furnace, or you're moving the kitchen or adding a bathroom, that's when you get into the bigger permits.
Do now when what is your experience? Okay, I'm out looking at a house. I see this awesome house that I love. I want to do X, Y, Z. I want to move the kitchen around. I want to open this wall. I want to do this. I want to do that. It's going to be my dream house. You're going to need plans for something like that, correct?
Correct.
What is the so I'm buying this house. I got a 45-day close date. I need to get plans. I need to get permits. Is it even feasible? Is it even possible to do those things in 45 days?
Not in 45 days, but every situation is different. Every buyer's different. Every property's different. But for the most part, you don't want to invest $5,000 to $8,000 in an architect, and maybe who knows what the permits might be, a couple of grand. You don't want to do that before you close, because if the deal falls apart, you're out that money.
Fair enough.
So most people wait until the day they close and they pull that trigger.
Fair enough.
I have
Fair
a
enough.
lot of clients not doing their first draw pull. That's where you're pulling the money from the rehab account, but they're not doing their first draw. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 months after closing,
Because they're waiting
because they
for
have to wait for the permit. Chicago is horrible on permits.
and you also have to wait for those drawings. I
Yep.
mean, those don't happen
Yep.
overnight. And so yeah, no, that's I always wondered about that, the kind of the time frame. So it's been my experience that what we do is we get elevations and room sizes and where the doors are and where the kitchen cabinets are and everything, and that's enough for us to close the loan.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. The
yeah.
appraisers usually ask for just a simple drawing,
Okay.
a floor
A
plan.
floor plan, and if you
Yeah,
are changing elevations,
yeah,
what it is going to look like at the end. So that's really
yeah.
the only way that they can do their appraisal. They need to see
A lot of times,
what goes
some
where and
people
why.
will refinance to do an addition. So I
Okay.
may show up and they already have their drawings.
Okay.
Some
Yep.
people already
Yep.
even have their permits when I
Yep.
show up, which is nice because then I know exact measurements and everything.
Okay. Yeah. No,
So,
that's
like I
nice.
said,
And that
every
way
situation is
you
different.
can really crunch some solid numbers
Yeah.
and get really tight on the final numbers. So what'll happen is, okay, client doesn't have a contractor. You go out there, you do okay. You do the feasibility. The feasibility is great. They say, okay, cool, we want to go. That's probably about what we thought it was going to be. You do the full plan review. Okay, you're going to include in that plan review a blank contractor bid.
Correct.
Correct. So the blank contractor bid. So you have your numbers, everything that you're doing, everything that it's going to cost. On the blank contractor bid, you have everything you're doing, but not what it's going to cost. So they
Right.
can send that to three contractors, and it'll be apples to apples. These are the things we're asking you to do. We're not asking you to add this or do that. Give us a price on just those things. And then once the client decides on what contractor they want and they have that bid, then the contractor gets with you, correct? And then
Yes.
you make the final numbers. You go back and forth and figure out what everything's going to cost, and then once you, the contractor, and the buyer all sign that thing, it's a legal binding document, and we use that to underwrite the loan. So,
Yeah.
so
Everybody's on the same page.
right, right, right.
Meaning, I might write it up at 100. They get a contractor's at 120, but he's added three things. So
Mm-hmm.
they ship that back to me. I look at it and say, okay, yeah, this will work, and then I just change the.
Change the plan review.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's cool. That's cool. So, you know what? Let's split the G before this stuff
Split
gets
the G.
too warm. Now, Ed has never split the G
I have
before,
never
which
split
I
the G.
he's a Guinness drinker too. So we're gonna try to. So it's usually about 4 gulps, 4 decent gulps, and you split the G. So I'm giving you a cheat sheet here.
All right.
So here we go, buddy. Long
My
time,
first G
man.
splitting.
All right. I was heavy, and so are you.
It's
Couple
delicious.
Couple of booze hounds.
I could have stopped, but
A
it
little
was
heavy.
yummy.
All right. We didn't split the G today, but Ed might stick around a little while. We might split a G later. So, anyway, so contractors. Now, funny story. You're gonna remember these two guys, and I'm not gonna mention their names, but they had red headwear, and they did a bunch of these for me. They started out gangbusters. They did a real good job. I think they did like 25 of these things. I mean, they did a bunch of them, and near the end, and one of the reasons I like a contractor that understands paperwork. Excuse me, a lot of contractors are the greatest contractors in the world, but it takes forever to get anything out of them, and I need paperwork so I can write that deal. And these guys, they knew the paperwork, and they started out like gangbusters. Like I say, they did a bunch of projects for me, and then after a while, Ed called me up and he said, "You know what?" And I'm not going to say their name, but they're, you know what? They're great guys. I like them. I'm sure you like them too,
Hmm.
but they're just, they're I don't know what the deal was. They were good contractors, but they got another business. I think they went into financial management too, and they were kind of half-assing the contractor stuff, but they turned into real train wrecks, and they wrecked deals. And what happens is when you're a loan officer and you suggest uh, a contractor to someone, you own it. And so I get calls all the time on those guys.
Oh
I had to
yeah.
go out there. They had to show. I mean, it was really a pain in the ass. So contractors are important, and I know you've seen every single shape and form of contractor: good, bad, excellent, horrible, uh, gone. That just take off, and I know that makes your job unbelievably difficult.
Yeah. I work harder when the contractor's bad for sure.
Yeah. And and so when you come in and you talk to Ed and he does the plan review and he can give you four or five contractors to go. You have Spanish speaking contractors, probably Polish speaking contractors, that you can Lithuanian contractors that you can just if you need to, if for whatever reason you don't speak English, you can talk to Ed's contractors. He'll not Ed's contractors, but contractors that Ed's seen do a good job. Now, how you got like quite a
I
list
got
of
a
good
list. I've been doing this 29 years, and it's just good contractors I've met over the years.
Yeah,
The contractor's the absolute key to the 203K or home style.
yeah,
It's not me. It's not the lender. It's the contractor.
yeah. No, and I have to agree. And a good contractor, and you could tell a good contractor, um, because they're methodical. They're doing things, okay, boom, Ed, I'm going to have X, Y, and Z done. Get out here and do a draw for me. And then the draw paperwork comes to me. I okay it and I send it over to the bank to write the check. But it, it's just the methodical nature of people. People that are all over. What'll happen? And it's been my experience. You can tell me if you agree. Contractors will get four or five jobs and they'll get a draw from this job and run over
Oh,
here and
sure.
buy cabinets for this job. And by when that starts, it never stops. You have a contractor with narrow focus on this job, this money stays on this one, this money stays on this one. Once they start swapping money around and commingling those funds,
Yeah.
it's tragic. It's really
And a
tragic.
lot of buyers want to hire the contractor that gives them the best price, and that's almost always a nightmare. You wanna pay a good contractor his money, and your job will be done quicker, the
Mm-hmm.
quality will be better, the workers better.
Yep.
If you hire a broke guy because he gives you a low bid, which is kind of where those other two guys were always the lowest bidders. That's
Mm-hmm.
why they got so many jobs.
Right.
But then they can't finish the job. So some of the jobs that should take 2, 3 months to complete take 2 years. Now your homeowner is paying this mortgage for 2 years on a house they can't live in, yelling and screaming at everybody. They've paid an extra $30,000 in mortgages when they could have paid a better contractor another 20
And
and been in
I've
three
been done.
months.
Yep. Yep.
So it's rare that cutting corners works.
No,
It does
no,
work sometimes, but it's rare.
I agree. I agree. Who was our